A fleet the size of a small army vanished before the sun came up, obliterated without ever firing a meaningful shot. 10 ships, gone in under 5 seconds. Total destruction in under 6 minutes. So what secret protocol allowed the US Navy to achieve a 100% success rate with 0 casualties? And why did the Pentagon call this response a warning to every nation on Earth? Watch closely. The answer reveals how modern wars may be won before they even begin. Before we move on, I would like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. How could 10 warships, loaded with hundreds of Marines and more than 100 tanks, disappear in seconds without firing a single shot? The plan looked unstoppable when the flotilla of 30 vessels slid silently toward the Oregon coast. Their radar systems were dark, their radios pulsing with encrypted signals invisible to outside ears, their engines throttled back to cruise in total silence. It was a deliberate move, a long-range gamble that by keeping emissions low, no system could lock them until it was too late. In their view, the fact that they had sailed within strike range without detection validated the tactics and the new equipment wired into every ship. Confidence spread down the line of command, and the invasion force believed stealth would deliver them to American shores before first light. Above that formation, 65,000 feet higher, U.S. surveillance drones were doing everything but remaining blind. Wide area sensors mapped the flotilla from bow to stern, running multi-band scans every few seconds. The satellites and airborne systems stitched together a picture more detailed than the ships had of themselves. From the command center, the fleet's course updates flowed steadily. Bearing, speed, spacing, all tracked and recorded without a single word spoken across open channels. The dismissal of signals discipline that once worked decades earlier now meant nothing. Every ship's wake pattern, every engine cycle, and every minor thermal hotspot was cataloged and relayed to fire units circling above. The kill box had been plotted hours before the lead ship hit the halfway mark. It was not a guess. It was calculated so U.S. air assets could concentrate overlapping arcs of fire into one square grid, less than 3 nautical miles wide. Nothing had been left to chance. Each crew inside the command screens knew they needed to wait. The temptation to strike early mounted every minute as the Iranian column slid closer to shore. But the orders were plain: hold position until every lead ship was inside the box. Not half, not most. Every single lead element. So the Stingray drones circled, fully loaded, while their targeting feeds lit up with flashing confirmation marks. When the green icon appeared, it lasted less than the blink of an eye before the release code pulsed through the system. 160 precision-guided GBU-53/B bombs dropped in perfect sync. The order had cut loose a storm nearly invisible until contact. Every glide munition steering into marked coordinates. In 4.8 seconds, the sky above the flotilla filled with vapor trails and streaking shadows. The first bomb almost erased the forward transport instantly. A direct hit amid its armored cargo deck, igniting stored shells and fueling tanks in one eruption. Yet the strike did not stop there. Every ship, one after another, absorbed at least 2 blasts within that same volley. The chain reaction looked like a continuous wall of flame rising higher than beachfront hotels. Steel plate shifted under stress within seconds before cracking audibly through the air. Crews had no time to counter or even aim weapons. Fireballs measuring hundreds of feet tore through multiple hulls and rolled ashore in seconds. Ammunition bunkers ripped apart entire superstructures. Dozens of armored personnel carriers stashed under deck storage exploded like firecrackers, scattering molten fragments across the waves. Communication nodes vanished with the second round of hits, leaving nothing but silent static where command chatter had been only moments before. When the flames settled slightly, scraps of metal burned across the sea. The spearhead that had been poised to deliver armored assault troops was erased in less than 5 seconds. Hundreds of Marines, thrown into the surf, struggled against fire, smoke, and collapsing wreckage. Radar domes and antennas, once standing tall, were gone, snapped instantly by the eruptions. In formation, nothing remained. Command orders lost their chain entirely. The invasion's sharp edge was blunted before weapons could even be armed. But even as destruction gripped the surface, another danger had already been lining up below. unseen by survivors clinging to floating debris. What happens when a 7,800-ton submarine maneuvers at striking distance under a collapsing enemy fleet? The USS North Dakota, a Virginia-class attack submarine, was already in position when the surface battle exploded above. Its crew ran the boat silent, sliding at 25 knots just below the thermocline, where sound bends and radar cannot reach. For hours, it had mirrored the approach of the flotilla, waiting for surface forces to spring the trap. Now, with burning transports spilling wreckage across the sea, the submarine shifted from shadowing to striking. On the surface, the scattered remains of the formation tried to reorganize. Surviving escorts opened throttles to full, pointing both west and toward the shoreline, hoping to find shallow refuge where they thought American torpedoes would be less effective. Yet North Dakota had already locked its array of sensors onto their wakes. Sonar rarely lies. Each engine vibration painted a signature inside the sub's control room. On a black screen, blips marked individual hulls, and operators knew which ship was which. The chaos that masked voices topside only gave them more certainty. No maneuver would erase those echoes. The order came quickly. 4 Mach 48 heavyweight torpedoes slid from their tubes, each guided by fiber optic cable stretching back to the control room. These weapons are built to shear through steel by detonating underkeels with the force of a 500 psi shockwave. When one meets its target, it does not just punch a hole, it lifts the ship from underneath, bending it until stress cracks fracture and the structure snaps. Seawater surging through broken compartments completes the kill faster than fire ever could. The first Iranian escort never saw the threat. Seconds after launch, its forward hull cracked open, the bow rising unnaturally before slamming back and breaking amidships. Deck plating folded inward, while armored carriers chained below rolled into the sea. Another torpedo struck a supply vessel, ripping it with such pressure that compartments flooded instantly. Men scrambled against the inflow, but heavy equipment lashed to decks pulled them down with the ship. One transport listed sharply, dumping smoke and cargo into the waves, leaving survivors yelling into radios that had already lost command authority. Desperate crews tried frantic maneuvers. Some turned their bows toward sandy shoals near the coast, hoping grounding might save them from deeper attacks. Others broadcast distress in clear voice channels, abandoning encryption in the hope someone might answer. But panic is no shield. Above them, UAVs that had rained bombs minutes earlier redirected targeting pods to spot stragglers. Any ship North Dakota did not reach. Drones hit with small-diameter bombs that struck superstructures and engine rooms. At the same time, coastal batteries brought online their Harpoon missiles, timed to erase anything pushing too close to land. Layered integration left no gap to exploit. Subsurface power shredded the core. Airborne platforms finished exposed targets. Coastal units sealed escape routes. In less than 3 minutes after the torpedoes launched, the attempt to scatter ended in wreckage. Fires burned on the waves. Twisted hulls leaked oil across black water, and the once straight formation flattened into nothing but drifting debris fields. No regrouping was possible. Survivors in life jackets floated among their equipment as tanks, trucks, and entire weapon stocks slid off steel decks and vanished into the Pacific. How could an invasion force of 30 ships, armed and confident, be reduced to wreckage scattered across the ocean in under 6 minutes? Beyond the sheer weight of weapons, the real message came in what the Pentagon released next: the image of the kill box itself, shown as a flawless square of precision drawn over the sea. Not as a battle record, but as a warning. Naval battles once depended on drawn-out maneuvers, turning circles, and gun ranges measured in miles. That era is gone. What unfolded on the Pacific coast showed that control now comes from grids drawn in advance, where surveillance never loses sight of a target, and firepower lands the instant permission is given. Minutes, not hours, decide everything. Technology erased the battlefield itself, replacing it with corridors where retreat, regrouping, or stealth have no chance. Think about what that means for future conflicts. Subscribe for more breakdowns of modern military power shifts, and share your thoughts on how this changes war.